Okay, so on this answer you should have gotten -5 comma 0. What I did was I took this first equation and I went ahead and solved it for x. You could have solved it for y, but we should get the same answer if you solved it correctly. I solved it for x by subtracting y on both sides and got -y minus 5 equals x. So when I went to the second problem, instead of saying 4 times x, I took x out and I plugged this in. So I said 4 times -y minus 5, and then copy down the rest of the problem. When I distributed and solved, I got y equals 0. And then I took that 0, y equals 0, and you could plug it in right here and say x plus 0 equals -5, or you could plug it in right here and say 4x minus 5 times 0 equals -20. I took the one that looked a little bit easier and did x plus 0 equals -5, and then realized that x equals -5. So your solution is -5 comma 0. Okay, the last one that we're going to do is this possible scenario where they both are equal to the same variable. So they could both be equal to y like this one is, or they could both be equal to x. And what we're going to do if they're both equal to y is we're going to take this out and we're going to set them equal to each other and then solve it from there. So what that looks like is if these are both solved for x, I'm just going to put them equal to each other. 3y minus 6 equals y plus 2. And so now I can just use inverse operations to solve for y. Okay, so we end up with y equals 4. So I can go ahead and plug that in right here. Now pick whichever one looks easier. This one looks a little bit easier to me. So x equals y plus 2. And I'm going to take this 4 and plug it in right here. So I have x equals, and I'm going to plug in that 4, and then we have plus 2. So x equals 6. So the final solution is 6 comma -4. Go ahead and pause the video and do this one right here. Okay, so we get a weird answer on this one. You should either get 5 equals -5, or something else that does not make sense. So you might get like 2x equals -2x, or something that is not true. So 5 and -5 are not equal to each other, so this is going to be no solution. So what this would look like if I were to graph both of these equations, I can show you that in my calculator. So remember, if I were going to graph both of these, and this is really nice because this is already set up to be plugged in, what I would do is go to my y equals, y equals, and then I'm going to plug in these two equations. So I have 2x plus 5, and then the second equation is 2x minus 5. And maybe you've already realized it, but these have the same slope. And what do we call equations that have the same slope? What are they going to look like? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Mine is zoomed in pretty far. Let me make sure I have